prophecies and conspiracies. Peering into darkness is what we do. Derek and Sharon Gilbert break it all down for you.
If it's AI Elvis, it's Saturday morning, and that's PID Radio. Welcome. I'm Derek Gilbert.
I'm Sharon Gilbert. Welcome to our home, everybody. We pray that you are having a great, great day.
Yeah, beautiful day outside here. Well, a few clouds, but we have had such a long, pleasant spring here. It's really, really wonderful. And I know various parts of the country still have some drought conditions and, other things. There has been a lot of wild weather this spring, I will say. In between the nice, pleasant stretches of mild weather and gentle rains, tornadoes all across the central part of the U.S. So it's been kind of an interesting year,
well,
weather-wise.
Except there have been years like this before.
Sure.
I think that there are those who want to say that the world is facing unusual weather because of X, Y, or Z.
Yeah.
For instance, over in Europe right now, there's a heat wave. It isn't the first time there's been a heat wave in Europe.
Yeah, I know. They just want to, the news media wants to put that out there because they want to, they're still trying to sell the, anthropocentric climate change thing. In other words, it's here in the U.S., it's our SUVs that are driving climate change around the world.
No, in fact, the biggest driver of weather is the sun.
Exactly. But if you're going to look at, human contributions to particulates in the air, look at China. They've been building coal-fired power plants like there's no tomorrow. Mm-hmm. So,
they're going to continue doing that, too.
But the funny thing is that they talk about particulates in the air, and now they're talking, the new thing is because, all of the previous accusations of chemtrails or just conspiracy theory, now they're actually talking about spraying particulates in the air to hold back the sun. Like, oh, chemtrails? We thought that was just, far-right internet conspiracy theory stuff.
Didn't Bill Gates propose putting a big shield up against the sun? Massive umbrella.
Yeah, like one of those giant things that you put on the dashboard of your car to keep the sun from turning your steering wheel into lava.
Well,
just put one of those giant-sized, giant-sized up there in orbit. Well, it is Saturday, June 27th, 2026, to timestamp this for future reference in case you're listening in the archives. And we appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to join us. You can always find our archives at our app, which you can find at pidradio.com/app or gilberthouse.org, which is our main web hub, gilberthouse.org/app. It's available for mobile devices, also smart TVs and set-top boxes. And that guarantees we never get canceled because we won't be canceled from our own app.
No, we will not be.
Unless we decide to cancel us.
Well, we're not going to do that.
We're not going to do this.
Seriously,
if I know me, and I do, I would never do that.
You and I have said for years that as long as the internet allows our various podcasts and activity to still be there, that we will keep them there.
Yes.
We don't plan to take anything down. We don't generally charge you. It's been very rare that I think, and it mainly was on Uscreen TV, I think, that we would charge just to go over there and watch a video. But now we brought those over to YouTube, so they're not.
Right.
We don't charge for that stuff.
Yeah.
We want everyone to have access to whatever. If there's value in something we've done, we want it to be there for as long as the Lord allows it. That's just it. And so you guys who help us financially, you make that possible.
Absolutely. So it has been given to us by the Lord, and so we want to, as much as is possible and practical to do.
Amen to that.
Just make it available at no charge, which is why we've got our Substack accounts, which we should talk about.
We will talk about those in a minute, but I brought up the sun.
Oh, okay.
I didn't bring it up personally. I'm not that strong, but I don't think even if I were the strongest person on earth that doesn't work that way. But the sun has been really, really active of late. Lots of sunspots and some X-class flares, things like that over the last few weeks. Add to that, and it could be that this is a consequence of solar activity. Is it the El Nino or the La Nina that is, I think it's the El Nino that's active right now. But when you get these specific storm systems and activity over the Pacific Ocean, and those weather systems move through the United States and Mexico, it often leads to changes, what we would perceive as changes in the weather, more active tornado season, a cooler season, a warmer season. So combination of the sun and ocean currents, but I think those are driven by the sun.
Yeah,
so
they are.
It all boils down to the sun.
Exactly. The giant flaming ball of gas in the sky, who knew, actually controls what happens regarding global warming.
And it's not that baby on those little Teletubby things.
No. They're calling it a super El Nino.
Oh.
Yeah. This, according to a story just published yesterday at severeweather.eu, developing in the tropical Pacific, the event strengthening toward rare intensity. June producing a pattern similar to past super El Nino years, with temperature and pressure anomalies emerging across the U.S. and Canada.
Oh, yeah, I see that.
Yeah. So they are saying it will have a powerful impact on weather here in North America. But yeah, we've seen across the central United States, a couple of days ago, there was a series of just a train of storms going across central Illinois, areas that I was very familiar with because for 4 years I was an outside sales rep for a steel company, and that was the heart of my territory. So smaller communities all across central Illinois, from St. Louis on up to Effingham, were getting hit. At one point, there were 13 tornado warnings for Illinois simultaneously.
Wow.
Now, all of them, all except one, were radar indicated, meaning they saw the typical hook echo that you see with tornadoes. But one of them was a very powerful wedge tornado that occurred north of Mount Vernon, Illinois, which is a town about 20,000 people. And, just very impressive, but thankfully it was out in open country. Now, not much fun for the farmers who had their crops ripped up by, 200-mile-an-hour winds or whatever it was.
And sometimes the hail that either precedes or follows in the wake of a tornado.
Right. So anyway, yeah, people from outside the United States where tornadoes are rare get really freaked out when we see these things. But here, if you grew up in the Midwestern United States, even people who live on the coasts are not really as familiar with tornado weather. Here in the Ozarks, we're not in what is referred to as Tornado Alley, which is an area where tornadoes seem most prevalent, but we're about a block over from Tornado Alley. We do get a fair number of hailstorms here. That was a surprise when we moved here from central Illinois, which does get its share of tornadoes, last week being one of those examples, but not as much hail or not as frequently as here in the Ozarks for some reason. And when we moved here, our auto insurance went up, which surprised me because Illinois is generally more expensive for everything than all of its neighboring states. And that was explained to me. It's because of the frequency of hail here in the Ozarks.
Well, there was a hailstorm when you and I were at the doctor in Springfield recently that it was baseball-sized.
Baseball-sized. And we were
that
delayed.
Not only dents your car, it also smashes your windshield.
Right. There's a suburb of Springfield called Republic, which is southwest of Springfield. And that is along the route we would have had to take going home. We got delayed at the doctor's office by a couple hours because their computer system showed that I had already been seen by the doctor when, in fact, we were just sitting in the waiting room waiting for them to call my name. That saved us from going through Republic at about the time the storm hit. And there's a big Chevy dealer there, and then there's a Walmart right across the street, and dozens of cars got damaged.
Yeah.
A lot of hail damage that needed to be repaired. That Chevy dealer inventory really took a hit that day.
Well, there was a year when, if you're talking about the dealership close to the Walmart, that dealership a few years back was flooded.
Yeah. Their lot was up to the doors, mid doors on the cars. It was bad day for that dealership that day as well.
So yes, the weather patterns have been historically, and we're talking over the last centuries, as long as records have been kept. There are times when it's cool, times when it's hot, times when it's windy, times when it's not. So those of the individuals who are screaming, "Oh, weather changes, it's terrible." No, it's just weather.
Yeah, it is.
It's just weather. Now, because we're going to, and we'll talk about Substack here in a second, I do want, we can talk about it now, but after we do that, I want to talk about the earthquake in Venezuela.
Yeah, oh yeah. Just very quickly, our Substack accounts, Sharon K. Gilbert, Sharon, letter K, Gilbert.com, or .substack.com. Sharon just released 2 more chapters from book 1 of the Red Wing Saga.
Yeah, they were actually out of order. I released 19 first and then 18 when I realized I had somehow skipped 18. So 18 and 19 are now available.
And at gilberthouse.substack.com, we are now into the book Veneration. Our Gilbert House Substack, we basically link to all of the content that we put out, all of our podcasts, and excerpts from the nonfiction works that we do. So Veneration is the book that is being excerpted right now. And on Mondays, the new video series that I'm producing called Just 5 Things. So tomorrow, Just 5 Things you should know about the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse.
You mean day after tomorrow?
Day after tomorrow. I was just speaking to the people who are listening tomorrow. So it's, if you're listening on Sunday, it's tomorrow.
You're still traveling, aren't you? You are. I did a video of Derek as the 4th Doctor in Doctor Who, along with Grace and Glory, our pups who now live in Florida. They were companions in the TARDIS. And it is I love that video. So yeah, apparently you're still traveling.
Or I haven't woken up yet. I slept like 13 hours last night. And woke up this morning and just like still groggy. So need more Highland grog or something.
If it's true Highland grog.
That's a coffee variety, by the way.
Yes, it is.
We're not talking about single malt.
We don't have any of the Highland grog coffees.
No.
Sadly.
Or the single malt.
Yeah. Well, the Highland grog, as you say, is a type of coffee made by Angelino's Coffee Company. We haven't bought any of that, but I keep seeing ads for it.
I've seen that name elsewhere, though. I think there's another company that's used that same name for some product.
Pizza?
Coffee, whatever. Probably
Sounds
not
like pizza dealer. So anyway, yes, indeed. Getting to Venezuela, talking about weather changes, and there are some who think that the sun also has an effect on earthquake activity. I don't know if the highly active sun that we have right now going on, if that has anything to do, but I've seen that claim by some who look at volcano activity and earthquake activity, and is it possible that it's solar driven? The day that Venezuela had the earthquake a few days ago, there was also an earthquake in Japan and an earthquake in California. And Venezuela had 2 earthquakes within a few minutes, a 7.1 and a 7.5. Mm-hmm. And of course, there are still individuals who are being helped. Sorry, I need to find my other. There it is. I think it's close to 1,000 deaths now, and 3,300, I think, who were injured, and tens of thousands who are still missing.
Yeah, according to the Sun in the UK, it's more than 40,000 that are missing. That is horrific. Mm-hmm. And the United States has jumped in immediately. Other nations are also rushing help. Israel is preparing first responder teams to send to.
They've already left.
Oh,
That
okay.
team left
Yep.
yesterday.
Which is remarkable considering how anti-Israel the prior governments were, the governments of Nicolas Maduro and Hugo Chavez. Now that Delcy Rodriguez, who was Maduro's right-hand woman, has taken over, but I think it's been made clear to her what's in her best interests, which is to kind of follow what the United States wants.
Mm-hmm.
But there are still, power structures inside Venezuela that need to be addressed. Rodriguez appears to be doing the job in keeping them in line. This may be an opportunity to rebuild Venezuela from the ground up, because things are really, Caracas was not that far from the epicenter.
Well, the community there along the shoreline, I've seen videos of that, and now lots of photographs taken in the region that show huge high-rise buildings.
Yeah.
That are either completely demolished by the earthquake or will soon need to be taken down because they are far too dangerous to be left standing.
Yeah.
So I assume that as soon as the search and rescue portion of this is deemed over, that there will need to be activity taking down some of those buildings.
Yeah, yeah. According to USGS, U.S. Geological Survey, this took place near the boundary between the Caribbean and South American tectonic plates. At the location of the earthquake, the Caribbean plate moves eastward relative to the South American plate at a rate of about 20 millimeters per year. The earthquake's location, shallow depth, and the mechanism are consistent with a rupture along the plate boundary system. And, it said it was a seismic doublet sequence. The 7.5 occurred just 39 seconds after the 7.2 magnitude foreshock.
Oh, they've changed it. It was 7.1.
Yeah. The doublet sequence, which is defined as two earthquakes of similar magnitude that occur close in time and proximity, likely indicates a complex rupture interaction process. Northern Venezuela has a history of large damaging quakes, but within the immediate 250-kilometer vicinity, which is, about 180 miles, I'm guessing, doing rough math in my head, so I'm probably not very close. There have only been 7 earthquakes larger than magnitude 6 in the past 100 years.
Oh my goodness!
So this is pretty rare. So pray for the people of Venezuela here, because not only have they had to live through Chavez and Maduro and the growth, the development of gangs like Tren de Aragua, which became sort of a useful arm of the Maduro regime. Now they've got this to deal with as well.
Well,
And,
Tren de Aragua militants, I'll call them that because that's what they are, gang members, are in the United States as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we've talked about that.
Just a reminder to
the,
those listening, if you've not heard us discuss it before,
Yeah.
they are in the major cities of the United States.
Right, yeah. That has been something that Homeland Security, FBI have been trying to rein in. They had taken over entire apartment complexes in Aurora, Colorado, suburban Denver. And
we have good friends who have finally moved out of Colorado. I won't say their names.
Yeah.
But they're happily living now in a much nicer state.
Yeah. One of the states that a lot of people who are fleeing places like Colorado, California, Illinois are headed towards. Places where
Where they're a little
Personal-
freer to...
yeah, a little freer.
Yep.
personal accountability is still respected, as is the Second Amendment.
And much like here in the southwest Missouri area, the Ozark area, we live in a county that is very free, and I got to tell you, very, very Christian. There are a lot of Christians here, and we're talking about people that talk Bible prophecy, just meet them on the street.
Yeah. And during the Obama years, I remember seeing these stories pop up, not Obama, but Obama and Biden, the local police forces very proudly putting in very large letters on the back bumper, "In God We Trust." Mm-hmm. So I'm very happy to see that. Speaking of which, we need to talk about the state of Texas.
Well, let's do that. But while we're talking about things that are taking place throughout the world, then we'll get to Texas. I just want to Ebola activity update. Mm-hmm. There have been 300 deaths in the Ebola-stricken countries as of, I think this story is late yesterday. And when I say that there have been that many, these are confirmed Ebola cases, that they didn't just die in the presence of someone who had Ebola. They actually died from Ebola. Mm-hmm. 304 deaths in all. 1,155 confirmed cases. So that leads to, I'm not sure what that is, maybe close to a 30% death rate, which honestly, that's not too bad.
For Ebola.
This is a different kind of Ebola, too. There is no vaccine for this. There is no treatment protocol that is considered standard for this particular type of Ebola. The Ebola virus is not just a monolithic virus. There are, like 6 or 7 versions of it, and each one has to be treated differently. Each one has to be, and they each have different death rates. The worst one, I think, is Sudan. Now, I might be wrong on that. That one, I think, has at least a 60 or 70% death rate. So far, the worst hemorrhagic fever virus that I know of is Marburg, which has an 80% death rate. Yeah.
So
if you hear rattling in the background, I don't know if you can hear it because it's relatively soft, but if you do hear it, it's the kittens at the door.
We'll talk about them a little later in the program, but yes, it's the porch cats, which
sounds like a band name.
Actually, it would be a good name, the Porch Cats. The state of Texas, the reason I brought that up, because this past week, in fact, this was just, it's just yesterday, Friday, or, 2 days ago if you're listening to this tomorrow.
In the future.
Yeah, sometime in the
future. Inside the TARDIS.
Anyway, the Board of Education for the state of Texas has mandated now that for its 5 million public school students, that Bible stories will be required reading beginning with the 2027 school year. In other words, beginning this fall. This was a vote, I think 9-3 vote by the Texas State Board of Education, but it is this is the kind of thing that is going to make for some very interesting debates in the weeks and months ahead. I will expect lawsuits to proceed almost immediately.
I'm sure they're being drawn up right now.
Yeah, lawyers are already being hired to take this to court. The reading list, they're not going to be basically given Bibles and told to read Bibles. They're going to have various stories that they will be reading, beginning in kindergarten and first grade. So they may read from a book with, an illustrated book in the lower grades about Daniel in the lion's den. Okay, just as an example. I don't know specifically what the reading list is, but there will be Bible readings from elementary school up to high school. Okay, picture book stories for elementary students include David and Goliath, Daniel in the lion's den. By fourth grade, students would encounter passages about Jesus in the New Testament. One proposed Bible story, a picture book about Noah's Ark, was removed from a list of first grade titles after a board member said it only had one page of text and voiced objections to descriptions of animals killed in the flood. What, you traumatizing the children, I suppose? But anyway, by middle school, students would be expected to read several passages about Jesus, including passages from his most famous sermon, I guess the Sermon on the Mount, Olivet Discourse, and another where he instructs people to cast aside earthly anxiety and seek the kingdom of God. Another would connect a reading from the Book of Lamentations and its themes of the destruction of Jerusalem with readings about the Holocaust.
I would suggest that among the legal contests to this will be, okay, if you're going to allow this, in fact, if you're going to require this, then you need to require readings of the Quran, readings of the Buddhist texts, readings of Hindu texts, readings of Mesoamerican belief systems, things like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's already been done.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
But not necessarily required.
Not required, no.
That's the difference here.
Yeah. Well, and by the way, the story I'm reading from was published by the Associated Press on Friday. Mm-hmm. Critics say President of the National Council of Teachers of English, Antero Garcia, said he didn't know of any other state that has such a list. Casey Meehan, director of PEN, America's Freedom to Read program, said she believes a reading list with mandatory religious text is unique to Texas. I don't know, California having kids having to
pretend that they are Muslims.
Pretend that they're Muslims, but they also had the chants for like Aztec gods,
Mesoamerican,
including the one that required human sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
Required readings rely heavily on the King James Bible.
There'll be challenges to that.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Besides the fact that you've got now progressives, atheists, pagans, presumably Muslims, heads exploding over this.
Yes.
You're going to have Christians arguing over which translation should be used.
I raised my hand, Mr. Gilbert, because the King James Bible is open source, so to speak.
Yeah.
There is no copyright on that in the United States or outside England.
Right, right.
So you can print those in your textbooks and not have to pay anything.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It makes them cheaper.
Exactly. So, and it's not a bad translation.
No, it's actually not a bad translation. It's the one that a lot of families use anyway. Most families, if they have a Bible,
sure,
it's probably a KJV.
Right. We use the ESV when we do our weekly Bible study, the Gilbert House Fellowship. But that's only because it's like the King James. It's a word-for-word translation, but it uses more modern English, so it's easier to understand.
Right.
And because it incorporates more modern scholarship, like the discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls, the comparisons with the Ugaritic texts and other ancient Semitic texts, so that you get a better feel for some of the archaic Hebrew.
Right. Another point, however, is that historically, the reading list in Texas, it essentially becomes the national reading list.
Right.
Texas often leads the way on that.
Right, because if you've got school book publishers having to publish for Texas and its 5.5 million students, then it's just easier to say, okay, Oklahoma, Arkansas, look, don't you just want to go with what Texas already, so they don't have to publish, multiple other editions for smaller markets. Yeah. Critics will say that this violates the First Amendment to the Constitution. It does not.
It doesn't.
The First Amendment says Congress shall make no law respecting the establishment of a religion.
Right.
Nor restricting, I'm probably using the wrong word there, the free exercise thereof.
Exactly. But it says Congress. It doesn't say a state can't do it.
Exactly. It is also not establishing a state religion. It is not saying that these students who are Muslim, Buddhist, Hindu, atheist, go home and practice whatever religion you want.
Mm-hmm.
But just like we read Greek and Roman mythology, which was just pagan religion in school, and it was just presented as literature. It's all right, you want to, hey, this is just literature. Okay. If you don't want to practice it when you go home, fine. No penalties for doing so.
Exactly.
But there will be challenges on the First Amendment basis. And like I said, let's hope Christians don't get caught up in saying, well, they should be using the NASB or the ASV or RSV. Just look, King James, not copyrighted. That's
why
in the
they're
U.S.
doing it.
That's why they're doing it.
Yep.
But it favors Christianity over religions, so say critics. Wah.
Wah. Let me take you in an entirely different direction.
Okay.
And an entirely different part of the planet. Let's go to Japan. In Japan, which after World War II was not allowed to have any sort of military, it does now have, and that's why the U.S. has been based there, for defense. That's the only defense that Japan had for a long time.
For a long time.
Except for the Defense League against Godzilla. That
right.
did exist.
The G-Force, yeah.
Yeah. But Japan's Air Force, which they're now allowed to have a defense Air Force, they're now renaming it. It's no longer the Japan Air Self-Defense Force. It is now the Japan Aerospace Self-Defense Force.
Oh.
So when the invaders from space come in, then, like, what was Prince of Space, I think, was one of the guys that came in one of those Japanese movies.
Yes,
Prince of
yes.
Space. Actually, he was a good guy. But they're, I think, putting that in there to include outer space activities.
Well, because, China is definitely trying to weaponize space. Mm-hmm. And so is the United States, because if we don't do it, the Chinese will get there first.
I don't think, well, I started to say Godzilla can't fly, but then again, I've seen him fly in some of the old movies.
Yeah, kind of some of the old cheesy films.
Yeah, I know.
I think King Ghidorah is actually more of a threat.
He probably is.
Yeah.
But seriously, the fact that they've decided, this is the Parliament, has officially renamed their Air Force to the Aerospace Self-Defense Force.
Yeah, interesting.
But
we gotta
it
keep an
tells
eye.
me that everybody, because Japan is part of the first world, so the first world nations, the G7 countries, are now all, they are active in the aerospace space. So if we look at a future war, we're not talking about against aliens incoming, what can happen in space?
Well, knocking out global positioning systems.
That's huge.
Yeah. That would be one thing. Knocking out communications satellites would be another.
Mm-hmm. Deflecting incoming asteroids probably is one of the things, but I also think that it's entirely possible that satellites exist in orbit even now that have defense capability. We'll just put it that way.
Yeah. That will be the next battlefield. I mean, you can defend against incoming missiles to a degree, but there have been theoretical weapons that have been proposed, and I don't know that any of these have actually been deployed. But
well, Star Wars was one that was proposed by Reagan, and I think it's kind of what Trump is trying to build, but I think his is ground-based.
Yeah, that was presented as more of a Reagan's Star Wars system was presented as more of a missile defense thing rather than, the Death Star being able to hit a target on Earth with a beam of something.
Yeah, I think so, but I think that there was an aspect of it that was actually going to be geocentric satellite-based, geosynchronous satellite-based.
Right, but again, to defend against incoming missiles from Russia.
Yeah, exactly. What I meant was I thought maybe you were saying no, it was ground-based.
No. Now, the weapons system I'm thinking of, which has been theorized, is something called the rod of God, where you basically take a titanium rod the size of a telephone pole, and you just drop it over your target.
Yeah.
Because the speed at which you would descend would make it impossible to destroy on the way down, and the impact would be something like a nuclear explosion.
So I assume titanium would not degrade much going through the atmosphere?
Not enough to keep it from hitting the ground.
Got it.
But I don't know that that's actually been deployed. But again, that has been described as the rod of God. And I don't remember where I read about that. It's been several years since I've seen a story on it. I
remember you and I on Sci Friday, back in the old studio, you and I discussed, on Skywatch, the old Skywatch studio, you and I were discussing, I think it was China that had a satellite that they had actually put into orbit that had the capability of damaging other satellites. So satellite-to-satellite warfare.
Yeah. With, again, the idea of disrupting another nation's economic activity, because so much of our communication depends now on satellites in orbit. And
if an AI has access to them.
Well, yeah. And of course, knocking out GPS means you basically really degrade not just us humans trying to get from point A to point B using, Waze or Google Maps or, Apple Maps on our phones, but military relies on GPS. That's what the GPS system was originally intended for. Knock that out, and you've got people who are the militaries that will find it much more difficult to position units to target enemy positions, things like that.
Doesn't China have its own GPS satellite system?
I think it does. And probably for the reason that they don't want to depend on an American system where they could conceivably be locked out. Speaking of which, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to summarize this article accurately, Patrick M. Wood has just written a piece that I will link to in the notes. This was published on Thursday at his website, technocracy.news, on Trump's new executive order on quantum computing. Patrick Wood has been writing and trying to warn the world about technocracy for years. His book, Technocracy Rising, which I read 15 years ago. Yeah. And had him on A View from the Bunker back in 2010, which was like the second year of that podcast, which will be this coming week's Wayback Wednesday. In fact, it's this week's Wayback Wednesday. So I encourage you to go either to our YouTube channel,
I'm just trying to think. When you say this week, do you remember the one that's
the one
you
that
put
this
up
Wednesday
just a few days
passed?
ago?
Yeah, so
okay.
It's the current week's Wayback Wednesday.
Okay.
You can find it at vftb.net. You can find it on our app, or you can go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@GilbertHouse. The book Technocracy Rising is an excellent overview of the technocracy movement, which began in the 1930s. The title of the episode is Carbon Currency, the podcast episode, because technocrats going back to the 30s have wanted to control us through metering and controlling the amount of energy we use. This is part of the reason for the rollout of smart meters by power companies over the past decade or two. We had a smart meter put on a home that we were renting in Indiana.
Yeah.
And it started shutting down our central air conditioning on very hot days.
There was a governor on it that would
Right.
only allow us to cool the house to a certain extent.
Yes. And we had no control over it because we didn't own the home. It was not our house. We didn't ask for the smart meter. The owner of the house did, but he wasn't living there. The article that Patrick Wood just put up on Thursday, I think the simplest way to describe it is this. Trump's new executive order on quantum computing locks into place the final piece of the puzzle that technocrats have been waiting for the last 90 years. Because when you go back to the 1930s, and they want to control the amount of energy that we each use because they believe that only engineers and technocrats have the skill, the intelligence to correctly allocate resources to control all of our lives so that everybody is happy. Well, they didn't have computers back in the 1930s. They would have to do all their calculations with, slide rules. And they're just not enough computational power.
Yeah, they didn't have personal computers. I think that the early days of computing existed, but you just didn't have one in your house.
No, there may have been some early things being developed with punch cards.
The earliest computer, and actually, I think it actually used punch cards, was in the 1890s.
Okay.
In London, I think.
Yeah.
At Greenwich.
First one that was functional I'm aware of that was that didn't involve human power to, process the cards was UNIVAC at the University of Illinois.
Yep. There's a wonderful Twilight Zone, I think, with, oh gosh, I can see him. I'll think of the actor's name in a minute, who was he discovered that the computer was in love with him. It wasn't called UNIVAC, it was called something else. Wally Cox
Oh, okay.
played the scientist and discovered that the computer was in love with him. So I'll have to find that episode and give you the link because it's so well worth watching. That was back in the day when a computer was lots of tubes, and it took up an entire room, if not a house-size location.
Right. Well, now that we've got, we're on the verge of quantum computing. Trump signed 2 executive orders this past week, ushering in the next frontier of quantum innovation and securing the nation against advanced cryptographic attacks. Patrick argues that quantum computing finally gives technocrats the computing power they need to essentially monitor and calculate energy use for an entire economy in real time. And that is how they will determine where energy gets routed and how much each of us will use. Money will become all digital, central bank digital currency. And he argues in this piece that even though the Federal Reserve Bank has said, nope, we're not going to develop a central bank digital currency, the president has essentially routed resources so that a so-called private digital currency is becoming a de facto central bank digital currency. Rather than using actual fiat currency, money, dollars, cents, we will be given the equivalent in whatever, quatlus, whatever they call it, a CBDC, which will be allocated to us on the basis of our allotted energy consumption. You are allotted so many units, so many joules of energy, so many kilowatts of energy that you can consume over the course of a year to heat, cool your home, to drive to work and back, to travel, whatever. Once you've run out, I'm not sure what happens. You go you go hungry, you go cold, whatever.
I don't know. It encourages people to either walk or ride a bike or ride a horse, but then the horse would use up carbon currency because it would eat carbon.
Yeah, and also produce carbon.
Well, it all depends upon how they define it. But right now, cattle allegedly ruin the planet. So that's a net loss to the planet.
Yeah.
But it's not.
That's why you get some of these environmental wackos who are cheering for alpha-gal syndrome. They're cheering for the Lone Star ticks because they want as many of us as possible to develop an allergy to red meat so that we'll quit eating
alpha-gal
beef.
isn't the only consequence of that. I mean, they're just such idiots out there.
Yes, I agree. They're basically worshiping Gaia.
Whether they know it or not.
Digital currency was the Genius Act, a privatized stablecoin infrastructure licensed into place in lieu of a Federal Reserve CBDC. A stablecoin is only as sovereign as the cryptography that secures its settlement. And that is one of the executive orders President Trump signed this week, basically creating a set of standards developed by NIST, the National Institute for Standards and
The only way
something.
that would work is if you are able to have the banks process these stable coins or the digital currency with lightning speed, which, as you say, requires a whole lot of quantum computing.
Yeah. And again, that's where the development of quantum computing comes into place. The federal government, under this executive order, would essentially determine the standards by which quantum computing will be executed. Any other standard that tries to access the system would be flagged as an error and blocked from the system.
Well, here's the irony. The data centers that would have these quantum computers in them worldwide are going to be chewing up a whole lot of water and resources. In fact, I'm from southern Indiana, and the county I'm from has said yes to a data center on acreage where my father used to work. And a friend of mine from school days owns the property, and he has, well, frankly, it was property that wasn't producing anything, so I'm sure that he's happy to unload part of it to the developers of this data center, and the data center has promised that the locals in the area would benefit from jobs created and tax revenue. However, the water, which allegedly will be put into a usage loop, how much of that loop leaks?
Well, don't know. Being a closed loop system, presumably it will use less water than those systems that use the water for cooling and then let it evaporate into the atmosphere to fall to the ground somewhere far away.
Let me just posit this. I'm sorry.
Just want to finish this up and then move on to the
I
data
thought
center
you were
thing.
done. Forgive me.
Let me just read the concluding paragraph of this article, because I admit I don't have my head completely around Patrick's arguments yet. So that's why I want to put the link to this article in the notes so that you can read it for yourself. He's arguing that the two executive orders that President Trump just signed basically put the last stones into place to complete this arch, if you will. Quote, "Technocracy served as a blueprint for a machine that could not be built for 90 years. Again, the men who inherited the blueprint did not abandon it. They waited for the hardware. On June 22nd, 2026, which is this past Monday, they decided the hardware had arrived and they locked the arch. The defect is repaired. The brain has its engine, the engine has its wall, the wall has its lock, and the lock has its key." In other words, they're trying to make the United States, they're calling it Pax Silica instead of Pax Americana, Pax
Instead
Romana.
of Pax Romana.
Yeah, Pax Silica. But they want the United States to be at the center of this. pull the quantum stone, in other words, quantum computing, and it all comes down. Leave it in place, and for the first time in the history of the idea, technocracy stands on its own. That is the whole of it. The slide rule could not run the world. The mainframe could not. The internet could not. All the AI data centers could not. They are betting the qubit, Q-U-B-I-T. Mm-hmm. They are betting the qubit can, and they have just bet the country on it. End quote. So again, we may be seeing the beginning of the technocratic era that has been proposed for 90 years, with our lives being determined by our energy usage, because with the advent of quantum computing, they can now calculate who's using what and have the ability from a central processing facility in Washington, D.C., control it. And what he means by the wall, the engine has its wall, the wall has its lock, and the lock has its key. Mm-hmm. Basically, the United States being the center of this new technocratic world. And this would be the key to a future global government. And if you're a Christian, you know who's going to run it. That will be the Antichrist.
You said that this was June 22nd?
Yeah.
You know, what's really interesting about that is the first business day right after the summer solstice, which was on the 21st.
Right. Yep.
These are within certain circles. The solstices and the equinoxes are very powerful days for portals and occult activity.
Yeah. Not coincidental. Not coincidental at all. So that this is the one thing I really wanted to get to today, was this article by Patrick M. Wood, and again, I'll put this in the notes so you can read it. Quantum computing, because the data centers are running on current technology, quantum technology. Quantum computing is like next gen computing.
I know, but it will not be that long. All they have to do is get the property.
Yeah.
And they could install the quantum computers as soon as they are available. They just need to get the property first.
Yeah.
Or get the property promised. In other words, we're going to put our stamp on this. Nothing else goes here until we are ready. China has been buying up farmland all across the United States, and I think it's for data centers.
Well, I know here in Missouri we've passed legislation to bar China from owning farmland, and other states are following suit, which is a good thing. We should not be. Farm production, food security is really national security.
Oh, I know. Someone needs to tell Sir Keir Starmer that, because he is a farmer harmer.
Yes.
He doesn't seem to understand food comes from those acres, and if you tax them into oblivion, you lose your farmers.
Yeah. I saw it was Winston Marshall, who does a very interesting podcast, a smart guy. Talking about Starmer's resignation, calling him Farmer Harmer Starmer.
Yes,
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Keir Starmer, by the way, will finally exit number 10 on July 20th. At least that's what he's saying now. He already resigned, but he's there for the transition.
Yeah.
By the way, in case you're wondering, the Wally Cox episode on the Twilight Zone, I was right, it was the Twilight Zone, is from Season 5, Episode 20, and it's named From Agnes with Love. Agnes is the name of the computer.
Okay.
It's so well. If you like Wally Cox, if you're my age, you remember him from He was also in the Hollywood Squares.
Yeah.
He was everywhere back in the 50s, 60s, and even into the 70s.
He voiced the character of Underdog.
He did. Yeah. Amazing actor. So, yes, I highly recommend watching that. Mm-hmm.
Well, that was... we probably should touch on the Iran thing.
Yeah, I do want to get to that. By the way, Patrick Wood is on... He's got lots of books. If you go to Kindle, or if you want a print copy, you can get those too. But I always read on Kindle. You can get all of his books through
Yeah,
Kindle.
he's got a new book out called The New Economics of Technocracy. You will own nothing.
Just downloaded the sample.
Yeah, definitely need to get him back on the program because I've only had him on, I think, twice, and not since we've moved to the Ozarks. But we did run into him, and he gave us a copy of his then most recent book at the Prophecy Watchers Conference in Branson back in December of 24.
Wonderful man. Love him.
Yeah.
So, yes, Iran, apparently they fired yesterday, as we're recording this, they fired upon a ship trying to transit its way through the Strait of Hormuz.
Yeah, surprise, surprise. Who could have seen that coming?
I thought for sure they would just be so nice.
Yeah. Well, since Mojtaba Khamenei said that he never approved the Memorandum of Understanding.
He's a cardboard character.
I know. The cardboard Ayatollah said he didn't approve it. It does appear that there are cracks inside the Iranian regime. And there is one woman who, Ida Turan is her name. She was raised in Iran. She is now, she's an R&D engineer living outside Iran. I don't know where, but she is presumably here in the United States, since her X account's profile pic at the top has that iconic image of President Trump from Pennsylvania.
Oh, yeah.
She wrote a piece arguing that Trump is cooking the regime from the inside. This was 6 days ago she posted this. We witnessed yet another public crack in the system. Most people completely fixated on the Memorandum of Understanding, treating it as the main story. In reality, it is largely just a pretext, a tool being used to advance much deeper games. The real game playing out is something else entirely. Basically, she's arguing that Trump was using it to drive wedges between the various factions fighting for control inside Tehran.
That's brilliant, if indeed that is his reason, and it may well be. In the meantime, Rubio was visiting the UAE and I think it was two other countries.
Kuwait and Bahrain, I think.
Yeah, and Bahrain was fired on.
Yeah, this was just...
Not by us, but...
Overnight, yeah. Iran hit Bahrain with a drone attack and hit another ship trying to transit the Strait of Hormuz.
And now the CENTCOM, Central Command, has hit back.
Right, yep. Hitting drone and missile storage sites as well as coastal radar installations in Iran. So the Memorandum of Understanding didn't even last a week, which we didn't expect, quite frankly. So was it a week or maybe more than a week? I
don't think it is maybe a week. Didn't last long.
No, it is not surprising. The Iranians have been saying that, no, we're not going to abide by these things. We're still going to be charging tolls. The government of Oman said yesterday that they will be helping to administer the fees going through
the toll booth.
The toll booth. So I'm wondering how their Arab neighbors like the Emiratis, the UAE, and Saudi Arabia, both of whom ship oil through the Strait of Hormuz, going to like Oman saying, oh yeah, you're going to have to pay us for the privilege.
And how is China reacting to this? I mean, they get 80% of their oil from Iran.
Yeah. Well, not 80% of their oil, but 80% of their imported oil.
Yeah.
I'd have to go back and look at the numbers because I think it was... I think it was 15 to 20% of their imported oil was coming from Iran and another 5% coming from Venezuela.
Okay. I must be, 80% is sticking in my head. But
80% may be shipping through the Strait of Hormuz.
Oil go through the Strait.
Correct, yeah.
Okay. Knew that 80% was in there.
20% of the world's oil flows through the Strait of Hormuz.
Okay. Forget any of that. Forget you even heard it, because I've already forgotten.
But yes, China's so-called teapot refineries depend on oil coming from Iran. Yeah, I brought all that stuff up and flagged that a while back. It is significant enough that it would be a major blow to the economy of China if the Strait, and it was putting the squeeze on the Chinese economy. But the Iranians really depend on that for its revenues to operate. And that is why Trump has been playing the games that he has. The media, again, fixates on, well, Trump's diplomacy has failed and he's caved in to the Iranians, when in fact he's trying to get a resolution there where the moderates will finally emerge as the dominant faction inside Tehran. The Iranian regime, the power factions inside Tehran are fighting one another. But while this is going on, again, Bahrain targeted by Iranian drones, CENTCOM hitting Iran, a Singapore flag cargo ship hit by a drone. It looks like Iran is basically trying to raise the threat of attack on any ship that isn't paying the toll at the toll booth.
Okay, according to the International Energy Agency, 25% of the world's seaborne oil transits the strait, and 80% of that is destined for Asia.
Yeah, but not all of that's China.
Yeah,
it's Japan
but that's
and
where
South
I got
Korea.
the 80%.
Yeah.
I knew I'd read it somewhere.
Okay, you were correct on the 80%.
I win something! Yay!
I had done a brief summary of what was going on there about a month ago, and I remembered 15 to 20% of China's oil coming from imported oil coming from Iran. China's got some oil wells and some oil production, but not nearly enough to cover its domestic needs.
By the way, speaking of oil prices, I just checked, and as of this moment, as we're recording this, WTI crude is down to 69.23, and Brent is down to 71.99. Both were well over 100.
Oh, it was, up to $120 a barrel. So, being around $70 a barrel is quite a drop. And we've seen gasoline prices here in the Ozarks now for regular unleaded around $3.39 a gallon. Right.
The average gasoline price, according to oil price right now, is $2.95.
Not bad. It's
much better
improved.
than it was.
Yeah. As we had said previously, $4 a gallon gasoline is painful, but it's temporary. Mm-hmm. A nuclear-armed theocratic death cult is a problem that is much more difficult to solve than high gas prices.
It's an existential threat.
Yes. So it looks like things are getting kinetic again in the Strait of Hormuz, but the factions within Iran will find that this is not going to. The ones that are shooting at the tankers and cargo ships will find that this will not help their cause, not long term anyway. Now I guess we're getting close to end of time here. One other thing I did want to mention, that bill that we had mentioned once previously, C9, the Canadian bill C9, which was basically criminalizes parts of the Bible, has passed, and it will soon become law.
Well, it's ironically called Combating Hate Act.
Yes. Yeah, the Bible is hate speech. But it's like Coach Dave says, truth sounds like hate to those who hate the truth.
Amen to that. We will talk about the conferences where we're going to be speaking in a few minutes, but I will say this because it's connected to this activity. In Springfield at the conference for Hear the Watchman, I have a talk that is going to include this kind of activity. It's called Werewolves of London, is the name of my talk, but it's not necessarily about werewolves only, but that's about the only clue I'm going to give you.
Yeah, wolves in
It's
bespoke suits.
It's a short story that I'm going to read out loud, but it covers a lot of ground politically.
Well, London is a very important city, even though the United Kingdom, in terms of its ability to project geopolitical power beyond its shores, has collapsed since World War II.
It has, but it still controls things a bit more than we might suspect.
Exactly. So that is what Sharon will be talking about.
It will indeed.
Yeah.
Now, let us get to telling you about the first conference that we're going to be attending, and that is...
Let's go in calendrical order. This coming Thursday.
Oh, yes.
This coming
thank
Thursday,
you.
because we're just 1 week away from the Roswell UFO Festival.
And aren't you doing the test for it, the final test?
Yes.
Tomorrow.
The final countdown begins tomorrow at 3:30 p.m. Central Time. Bruce Collins and I will be doing a live stream test for the Christian Symposium on UFOs and Alien Abductions. That'll be on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@GilbertHouse.
So hit that notification bell.
Yep.
As a reminder. You'll get a reminder.
Exactly. Go to the YouTube channel, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. And then tomorrow, Bruce and I will be just kind of chatting and figuring out which buttons we need to push or which things we need to click in order to make things happen.
And you never know. You might actually say some stuff that's really interesting that you'll never be allowed to say again.
Exactly. Except on the replay if you watch the YouTube thing later.
Oh.
Yeah. But that will be the final test because the event is coming up next Thursday, July 2nd, 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. Central Time. If you're in the Mountain Time Zone, 2 to 7, 1 to 6 Pacific, et cetera, et cetera. And Joe Jordan, Guy Malone, Jackie Elnor will be hosting it live on the ground in Roswell as part of the Roswell UFO Festival. In fact, if you go to the upcoming events calendar at gilberthouse.org or on our app, you'll find the location where Guy and the secret location, second floor around the back. Really, it is second floor around the back
it is.
where they're at. And you can take part if you're in Roswell for the event itself. They will have some pastors. They've recruited some pastors in the Roswell area. God bless them because, boy, speaking out against the UFO Festival in Roswell, even as a Christian pastor, is frowned on because that is a big moneymaker for the community. But this is a spiritual, the UFO phenomenon and the alien abduction phenomenon, two separate phenomena, are both deceptions, and the abductee-contactee phenomenon especially is demonic. So you can hear from Guy, from Joe, from Jackie. And if you have questions that you would like them to answer, things that you've always wondered about, what are those lights in the sky? Why do we say the alien abduction phenomenon is demonic and not an actual extraterrestrial levitating you through the wall of your house? You can ask those questions in the live chat or by sending us an email at info@gilberthouse.org, info@gilberthouse.org. And again, the test of the stream, if you want to join in tomorrow, just for fun, Sunday afternoon, 3:30 p.m., we'll probably go 45 minutes to an hour, something like that. But Bruce and I just wanted to make sure we've got everything set up correctly. Bruce is going to be streaming this on his YouTube channel as well, just so we can kind of get more coverage out there. People who follow Bruce, people who follow us. Join us tomorrow, but certainly join us next Thursday afternoon and evening for the event live from Roswell, the Christian Symposium on UFOs and alien abductions.
And the next one will be in Ohio.
Yes.
The next conference, and we'll be there in person.
Yes. That is the Go Therefore conference hosted by Dr. Mike Spalding It is at the church of our good friend, Pastor Neil Peterson, the Harvest Revival Center in Brookville, Ohio, which is just outside Dayton. Mm-hmm. We'll be there. This is July 24th and 25th, along with Carl Gallups. Love seeing Carl. Carl's always... His presentations are always mind-blowing. You do not want to miss Carl's presentation in particular.
Oh, my goodness. Especially since you can hear him talk about it, but you need to see the actual Hebrew letters he's discussing.
Yeah, and the AV system that they've got there at Harvest Revival Center is fantastic because the back wall, or the front wall, as you're looking, towards the pulpit, is one big screen. So whatever's on the laptop gets magnified by about a scale of 50 and on that wall. So you'll be able to see very clearly, even from the back row, what Carl's talking about. Carl Teichrob will be there. He's a researcher extraordinaire.
Maybe in Canada they say researcher. Could be.
Oh, yeah.
They say a boot.
Hey. Our good friend Dr. Greg Reed will be coming up from El Paso, Texas. He is a spiritual warrior who has grappled with supernatural evil in a very personal way.
Yes.
Yeah.
You definitely want to meet him.
Tom Hughes, who's a Bible prophecy expert, as is John Haller. Mm-hmm. And God bless him, John just had surgery on his Achilles heel.
Yes, he's been told to stay off of it. So
yeah, that's going to be tough. He's going to be...
we have to see if Mike Spalding could rent a wheelchair and the two of you could share it. Okay, now you get to ride in it, then John gets to ride in it.
Yeah. Well, I will defer to John because he's going to need it more than I can, because I can at least put weight on my...
That is true.
And Olivier Melnick, who's a regular... he's a good friend of John's, I know, and is often on John's podcast. He is a Messianic Jew, so he's going to have a very unique perspective on what's been going on prophetically, geopolitically, and that will be essentially the subject of my talk, which is War of the Watchers. So if you cannot be there, you can stream the video. And again, the AV team there, the media team at Harvest Revival Center is excellent. So the quality of the video stream will be fantastic. And information and registration is at gothereforeconference.com, gothereforeconference.com.
By the way, Kenny C. is going to be there. He's going to have a table set up, but he will not be speaking. But if you love Kenny C. and you just are in the area and you're going to attend anyway, you'll get to meet Kenny C.
Yeah, Kenny, the legend.
I know. Now, Kenny C. is going to be speaking in Springfield.
Yes, the Remnant Rising Conference, Remnant Rising 2.0, August 7th through 9th, so that's just 2 weeks after the Go Therefore Conference. This will be at the Oasis Hotel and Conference Center in Springfield, Missouri. North side of town, close enough to the Springfield-Branson National Airport that you can get a hotel shuttle, and you won't need to leave the hotel, actually.
No, everything
wonderful
is right
restaurant.
there. Yeah.
Wonderful restaurant there in the hotel. And the lineup here is, wonderful. Both of us will be speaking. Mm-hmm. We've got the schedule. We will be speaking on Saturday morning, back to back. Mm-hmm. So you get breakfast, then Sharon, then me, then lunch. And but the Oasis is a great...
If I have extra time, I'll yield it to the gentleman from the Ozarks.
Well, we've got... it is a wonderful facility for a conference, because if you want to relax at any point, there's a great pool area there. I mean, the pool area is fantastic. I mean, when they call it the Oasis, it's well named. Mm-hmm. But then the conference center is like almost it's a separate building. It's all indoors, so you don't have to go outside to get to the next building. But wonderful setup for an event like this.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
It's perfect. Which is why Jeannie and Mike decided to go back there.
Yes. Joe Horn is the one who recommended the facility. Mm-hmm. And Mike and Jeannie took a visit there and hit it off with the events manager. And so that's why they're back again this year. Mm-hmm. Last year's event was great. And I think this year will be even better.
By the way, we mentioned tick bites and alpha gal with the Lone Star. Ashley Schrader is going to be speaking, and she experienced that. She's got a podcast that's called Beyond the Bite, I think.
Yes.
And she talks about the alpha gal syndrome.
Mm-hmm. That will be really worth hearing because, again, that has been spreading across the United States.
Yeah.
And here in the Ozarks, just the last 3 years or so, the Lone Star ticks have really moved into the area. I got bit by a Lone Star tick.
It wasn't on there long enough for you to have
Thankfully,
the problem.
no. I can vouch. Sharon's made a couple of half-pound hamburgers for me this past week.
Oh, yeah.
And no residual after effects, thankfully. But for those of you who have experienced this and deal with it, it can be debilitating.
Yes. It's terrible. Like I said, when you have a tick bite like that, it's more than just not being able to eat meat.
Yeah.
In many cases, it's more than just one type of tick, too, that are here in the Ozarks.
Yeah.
And there are lots of, some carry Lyme, some carry other diseases.
So when we see the possums going through the front yard, it's like, hey, you go.
Mm-hmm. They eat ticks.
That's what
Go
they do.
get them.
Yeah.
Chickens eat ticks.
Yeah. Of course, then you get the raccoons eating the chickens.
Yeah.
It's like, hey,
so,
Rocky, lay off. Anyway, other speakers include Tony Merkel, host of the Confessionals podcast, John Pounders, Now You See TV, Dave Hodges, host of the Common Sense Show, our good friends Vicki Joy Anderson, Tracy Tennant, Pastor Larry Ragland.
We love him. We got to meet him in person recently at Skywatch TV, and
Yeah.
you know, I just we hit it off with him so well.
Yeah, so looking forward. I'm very glad that Mike and Jeannie got Larry as a speaker for this event. Of course, you mentioned Kenny C. David Paxton. Mm-hmm. His research into spiritual contracts, because the fallen realm, the principalities and power, they are very legalistic. Mm-hmm. And so David, he's researching and talks about that. And it's some important stuff. Josh Tolley will be there. Jamie Walden, another good friend of ours, and we hope you will be there as well. If you can't, oh, by the way, and if you are planning to, make sure when you check out, when you register for the conference, use promo code Gilbert20 because that saves you $20.
Yes, you want on each ticket.
On each ticket.
Each in-person ticket.
Right. So
let's say there are 4 of you coming. That's $80 you've saved, and you can spend that however you want.
Exactly. So Gilbert20 at checkout. But if you cannot be there, streaming video is available as well. And you can get more information and register at hearthewatchmen.com. Hearthewatchmen.com.
Well, we had some good news recently.
We did. We were approved,
You were approved.
yes. I was going to say the insurance company was overruled. They denied coverage on the infusion therapy that my neurologist has recommended. It's called intravenous immunoglobulin.
It's considered first line for what you've got.
Right. Donated antibodies, basically, which would be infused into my system to basically get my immune system to reset and stop attacking the nerves and muscles in my extremities. So got on the schedule. So in 3 weeks, we'll begin the series of infusions. It'll be 2 consecutive days, 4 hours a day, every 3 weeks. So every 3 weeks, I'll be losing 2-3 days of work time, but it will be worth it.
So worth it.
Yeah, it is a very expensive course of treatment because the brand used, the compound, without insurance. Yeah, without insurance, each 2-day course of treatment would be about $40,000. We ain't got that.
No, we don't. But so we were just thanking the Lord that within one day, probably within hours, it was the insurance company's decision was overruled, and now Derek will get it. And I love the fact that it's starting on July 20th because July 20th is not only the day Keir Starmer will leave number 10, but also it's the anniversary of the day you and I met.
Yeah, first email between the two of us was dated July 20th,
1997.
1997, yeah. So 29 years ago to the day. Mm-hmm. So the Lord has opened the door and begin receiving the treatment that my neurologist has been fighting for me since last December.
And you guys have been praying, so
Yeah.
thank you. The Lord
Yes.
heard your prayers.
So this will be a new adventure, and that prayer is that it will restore functionality to reverse symptoms, so that perhaps I regain full use of my hands, which would be wonderful.
So nice.
Since typing is, that's what I do.
Typing and eating, lifting a regular mug of coffee, lifting, a plate. We've replaced all of our, regular dinner plates with wheat straw
Non-breakable,
based. Yeah, they're very light.
Yeah, because the one of the ways this particular autoimmune disorder manifests is in the muscle wasting, is what is called. Basically, my immune system is just chewing up the muscle in my hands. Mm-hmm. So when you look at my hands, they look very, very bony because areas that should be filled with muscle are gone. So yeah, I cannot hold utensils the way I used to. I have to hold them like a little kid does, just grab it with my fist and,
Well, praise God you can still do it, so hallelujah for that.
It's a nuisance. It's not really life-threatening or anything like that. It's not debilitating. It's just a little annoying sometimes.
And I know many of you out there listening, you are dealing with similar issues, either yourself or a loved one. Many of you, yes, exactly, much, much worse. And we just want you to know you are not alone. The Lord is there with you all the time.
Amen.
Whether you're living in the house by yourself or you're surrounded by friends and loved ones, the Lord is there as well. And we just want to lift you up with prayer every day. We don't always know your names. We often don't know what you're going through. But when we pray several times a day, Derek and I pray together, and we always say, Lord, you know who needs what and what it is. Just please meet the needs of every one of your children worldwide.
Amen. Yeah, we're living in interesting times, and the times are getting more interesting as we, with each passing day.
Mm-hmm. Also, by the way, those of you who have been asking about Portia the cat, this is the cat that was left on our property, and she was about to have a litter, and she did indeed have that litter beneath our front porch. Hence her name, Portia.
Yeah.
Portia is a tortoiseshell cat. She's beautiful. And she had 3 kittens, and we think they're about 8 or 9 weeks now, just based on the activity, their size. They are eating. I feed both Derek is highly allergic to cats. Plus, these cats, Portia, I think must have been an indoor cat because she's very friendly, keeps wanting to come inside. She and the kittens are around my feet a lot when I'm outside walking and pulling weeds and stuff. They would probably cause Derek to fall down.
Yeah, yeah.
Even if he weren't allergic to cats, which he is. And he has compromised lungs anyway, so we don't want, he has COPD. So we do not want any repeat of the pneumonia that he had.
No, that's true. That's true.
Anyway, I take care of the cats, and I've been feeding the kittens and Portia because she's still, nursing to a certain degree. This kitten replacement stuff that's made specifically for bottle feeding kittens if you find them and they have no mom. Giving that as a supplement, but also kitten kibble, which also is good for the moms to eat because it has extra nutrients in it. So yes, they're eating well, and I have rescued them from a raccoon a couple of times.
Yeah.
Raccoon on the deck, not trying to harm anybody, just stealing their food.
Yeah. But you don't want them getting into it because cats...
And the look on the raccoon's face like, what? What am I doing? Yeah, no, please let me have some food.
Nobody needs to get hurt. Just put down the stick, and then we just have...
I have this big stick that is in our slider that I always take out there with me if I have to defend myself from, or defend cats from some intruder. And so far the stick has won the day.
Yeah.
I don't hit them. I just bang it. It's to scare them.
But no, we do. There is a lady nearby who is has volunteered to take the cats. So
Yes.
we're just in the process now, Sharon, is of getting them past their skittishness so that
Yeah.
they can be put into a cat carrier. And in fact, this lady's told us that she had a tortoiseshell cat that she just had to have, that had reached an age where it was no longer, it was in constant pain.
Yeah.
And so I had to be put down.
That's so tragic. Our daughter has 2 cats, and they've had their issues with various maladies. And
Yeah.
we know what it's like
Yeah.
for her she loves her cats dearly.
Yeah.
And she's had dogs in the past, too. She has such an empathetic heart, and it just breaks her heart when the cats get sick.
She gets that from her.
From you.
I suppose, but it really skips a generation when it comes to cats.
No, that's true. But you have a very empathetic heart.
Yeah, and I don't want to see any animal suffer.
neither
But
do I.
my mother would have taken in all of the feral cats in the neighborhood near the nursing home if she could have. But she reached a point she reached a point where she had hit the limit of animals that she was allowed to have.
Yeah, which was probably a good thing. But we're trying to take care
very
of the
empathetic.
cats, and we are looking forward to them getting a great home and getting the vet care they need.
Absolutely. Yeah, especially, the possum can only do so much out there.
That's
with
true,
those
I know.
ticks. Yeah.
It's not.
So
Yeah.
tomorrow morning, the Gilbert House Fellowship, our Bible study, we'll be back into the book of 1st Enoch. And so discussing that very important book, again, not in the Bible, but important to understand. And then tomorrow evening, Dr. Greg Reed on A View from the Bunker.
Oh, we so love Greg Reed. We're going to see him in Ohio.
Yep. He talks about, it was a very interesting discussion. The title of the episode, Aliens, AI, and the Occult. And he told me that children, special needs children, Down syndrome, people who are on the spectrum,
Yes.
they are being used by people in the occult because they believe that these children have the ability to contact spirits in the unseen realm. And so they're being used for necromantic rituals.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. So don't miss that discussion. That is an important one.
Oh, my goodness.
Again, this is a discussion, one of those for which we encourage you to get our app, because this is one that, because we deal with children and the occult, sometimes it gets flagged by a certain video sharing platform as a violation of community standards. Greg's last episode was one of 3 that have been yanked by this video sharing platform.
Yes, so please download our app,
Yeah.
gilberthouse.org/app.
Yeah.
Also, we have rescheduled while you're at gilberthouse.org. If you go to /travel, you will see the updated dates for our Israel tour. Been moved from this fall to next October.
Right.
So October 2027, we are going back to Israel.
And by then, with a year's worth of these infusions, may well be in much better physical condition.
Oh, I would love that, because it was kind of sad that you weren't able to go into Gilgal Raphaim with us and other places where it was a little more difficult to walk.
Yeah. Lipkin Tour's been very gracious. They said that they would get a wheeled vehicle, like a scooter, for me to go to many of these events. Plus, they said some sort of contraption that would allow me to go up and down stairs easily. Like
hover chair.
Who knows? Maybe an exoskeleton. That'd be cool.
Oh, yeah. Or you could fly.
That would be, a hover chair would be better. Yeah,
hover chair.
But hopefully by next October, won't need those. So information at gilberthouse.org/travel. Until next time, I'm Derek Gilbert.
I am Sharon Gilbert. We love you all so very much. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye, everybody.
VID radio is on the air. Politics, prophecies, and conspiracy.